Hello guys, it's me Simo Orahara, and in this video we'll talk about the events of the new trailer, especially the two most important events. Hirako reads the Bankai for the first time in the anime, and the scenes we saw regarding what happened to REIO, and if this is about a vision Ichigo witnessed that has something to do with the past and the future of the story. But before we touch all these points, let's start from the beginning. The trailer begins by giving a glimpse of the meaning of the title of this part, which is the separation of Ichigo and his friend Yurio. Ichigo sided with the Shinigami and fought Yhwach in the last war, while Yurio, with certain convictions, decided to join Yhwach's army. So that one of the last scenes of the first part was the arrival of Hajvel to meet Yurio, and then we saw how Yhwach received him. And the trailers began with an important event confirming that separation, and it's the appointment of Yurio as the successor of Yhwach. The following scenes are frankly the beginning of a number of important additions and changes in my personal opinion, because personally I have always been interested to see what's going on inside the Van der Reich castle and what are the opinions of the Sternreiter towards each other and towards the decisions of Yhwach personally. In the manga it was so abbreviated, but in the anime there seem to be good changes, like all the Sternreiter talking to each other. For example, we always saw this scene of some Sternreiter discussing with each other in the manga, but in the trailer it seems that there was a wide discussion among most of the Sternreiter about Yhwach's decision, and the most prominent scene remains the meeting table that brought together the Sternreiter led by Hajvel. After I watched the first scene for the first time, like many, my mind immediately went to the comparison between the meeting of the Espada and the captains and the Sternreiter. And frankly, without needing time to see the characters of the Sternreiter or something like that, the superiority will remain clear to the Espada and the Gotei 13, especially the Espada. The Espada are 10 characters. 10 characters had a lot of time both in designing their shapes and honing their personalities. In addition to that, the boss of the Espada was Aizen Sosuke. As for the Sternreiter, the situation is different, and I won't delve too deeply into this point because there are certain things that will appear in the anime that will show you what I'm talking about. But from what appeared from that scene, the meeting was aimed at the same as the previous invasion. Hajvel, when he came in the first invasion, spoke almost the same words about the necessity of defeating the Shinigami. In the following scenes, we will see what Hajvel was talking about, which is the beginning of the second part of the battle. But the thing that interested me more was Ichibi's words. His words carried a lot of meanings, and also it wasn't in the manga. We're talking here about new lines. Ichibi's words agree with Yhwach's words. When Yhwach defeated Yamamoto, he said the same thing. He said that after the Shinigami defeated the Quincy's, they had 1,000 years of peace, and that peace made them weak. And it seems that Ichibi shares the same vision of Yhwach. Ichibi saw that the defeat of the Shinigami in the first invasion all due to the weakness of the Gotei 13. Beginning with Yamamoto and ending with the last officer in that organization that couldn't protect the Soul Society. But frankly, I don't know why, but I find that Ichibi's words are kind of harsh, and it seems like a kind of hypocrisy. When he came the first time, he didn't show any signs that he feels pity for the Gotei 13, unlike Kirinji, who has shown what the Zero Squad feels towards the Gotei 13, and Ichibi's words are only evidence of that. Anyway, some other scenes are about some battles, like the battle of Toshiro and Rangeko against Busby and BG9 against Soifon, etc. And I think now the studio will keep the red sky as a background. To be honest, I don't like it, but maybe I have to get used to this matter starting from now. But I want just to know what is the need or the reason of this red sky. Is it has to do with something that the sky of the Van der Reich is red, or just an idea from Kubo in the studio and nothing else? Anyway, and we move now to one of the most important additions that appeared in this trailer, which is the release of Hirakos Bankai. Coincidentally, just a few days I made a video about Hirakos Bankai, so that in that video I talked about the context in which Hirakos Bankai was released. But I have already spoken more than once in several videos that the anime might show Hirakos Bankai in this arc. And among the possibilities that I talked about is that the Bankai could, for example, be launched by Hirako against the Quincy girls. But it seems that will not happen, because the studio and Kubo seems to have based this Bankai on the words in the novel in which Hirako talks about his Zanpakuto. Hirako said in the novel that the Shikai is stronger as an ability than the Bankai, and the Bankai ability is suitable for the foot soldiers, and it seems that Hirako will literally release the Bankai on a group of soldiers only, and not Sternacher like Candice or the rest of the Quincy's, because frankly, their combined level is stronger than the Bankai of Hirako. But this brings me another thing that I had said years ago, and if the studio adapted Hirakos Bankai and included it in the anime, this may negatively reflect it in the adaptation of the novel, or let's say that the events of the novel itself will be changed. Because, for example, in the novel Hirako says that he couldn't release the Bankai in the Quincy arc, and therefore this will contradict what will be shown in the anime, because Hirako will release the Bankai there. Therefore, I believe that if Hisagi's Bankai also was shown in the anime, it will mostly likely be a serious change in the adaptation of the novel itself. But from what appears, Hirakos Bankai will be limited only to these soldiers, and they did that only to see the Bankai of Hirako, meaning that the Bankai wouldn't have a great impact on the course of the story. In addition, I don't think this is the new fight that Kubo was talking about, because from what I can remember, it was about a person against a person. Therefore, I think that the fight will be the fight of another Shinigami. And now guys, we move to one of the most important events carried by the trailer, which is Ichigo's training, and those glimpses he saw of Ryo's past, so that scenes of Ryo in his torn parts appeared. And to begin with, those scenes are new and didn't appear in the manga, and for a long time they were a missing link in Ichigo's training. How is that? Whoever read the manga weekly, and even those who watched the first part, will know that there is something missing in Ichigo's training. Ichigo trained with Kirinji in Hikofuni as well as Nimaya and got the real Zanpakuto, so that he was ascending from a castle to a castle on an ascending path towards Ryo. And the missing part was his training with Ichibi. And at that time, I believed that Ichigo would meet the Soul King, and he might tell him something, in the sense that he might tell him a truth related to Yuabach or a certain past. But in the manga, Kubo jumped directly to the events of the second invasion, and that issue was not addressed, and later it appeared that Ryo was without limbs. But what appeared in this trailer now, this goes with the same idea that I thought, but in a different way. And it's Ichigo will meet Ryo, but by diving into his memories. And by looking at the original scene mentioned in the novel, we saw the scene of Ryo with his limbs cut off. And there is also another scene that seems to be related to what Ichigo saw, which is the scene of this person. I don't know why, but some try to link it to Tokinada, and I don't think so. But I think that either he is the person who became Ryo, and at that time he was preparing to do the Almighty to divide the worlds, or I think this is Shiba's ancestor, and he was the one who was looking for a technique to save Ryo. And so it is possible that Ichigo saw his ancestor and what he wanted to do, and perhaps this will have an impact on defeating Yuhabach in the future. Anyway guys, I will make a video soon about these scenes, and there where I will talk in details about this matter. So guys, tell me your opinions about the trailer, what do you think, and see you guys in my next video.